Welcome back. Concerns continue to mount as regional authorities prepare for a potential oil spill off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. A Venezuelan oil tanker has begun sinking and threatens to deposit over 55 million tons of crude oil into the Caribbean Sea. Jacques Wooding explored the developing situation and spoke with key stakeholders on what an oil spill could mean for the region at this time.
The FSO Nabarima, a huge oil tanker abandoned in the southernmost portion of the Caribbean Sea, the Gulf of Paria, has taken on water and is currently leaning to the side, sparking concerns for a potential oil spill. On board the vessel sits 1.3 million barrels of crude oil, left idle after the United States of America slapped new sanctions on a Venezuelan oil company in January of 2019. Environmentalist groups on the ground in Trinidad and Tobago have been pressuring regional authorities to do something about the ship. Most recently, Corporate Secretary of Trinidadian environmental group Fishermen and Friends of the Sea, Gary Aboud, released an emotional video to social media expressing the frustration of environmentalists towards the supposedly lax approach of regional authorities to the unfolding crisis.
We know that nothing has been done. We have risked our lives to come out here to collect this information, to share to the public that our government has done nothing. Regional governments are not aware of how dangerous it is, and we think it's worth the risk of coming out here because you can see it for yourself. We're not imagining it. These are not false images. No one is doing anything. And you can see that it's held together by the anchor chain, and that's not enough. If something goes on, if we have bad weather, there are a number of circumstances that could cause the vessel to flip, and there'll be no recourse. This requires national emergency.
In 1989, a bilateral oil spill contingency plan was signed between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela to guide immediate response to any oil spill in the vicinity of the two territories. However, Director of St. Lucia's National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, Doreen Gustav, notes that the impact of an oil spill could quickly spread to the wider region due to the general circulation pattern of affected waters. She says in the event that St. Lucia is threatened, NEMO is prepared to mobilize the National Oil Spill Committee.
There is the Oil Spill Committee that is in place. It's a national committee, and they are trained in dealing with such matters. Also the fire service is the lead on this, so we have contingency plan in place. We have plans in place to deal with any hazards that may come our way.
The St. Lucia Hospitality and Tourism Association is also closely monitoring the developing situation. As told by Chief Executive Officer of the SLHTA, Norani Aziz, St. Lucia, much like many other Caribbean countries, markets a tourism experience which is heavily dependent on marine resources. Aziz says with many countries still working to rebuild their tourism sector after the initial impact of COVID-19, an environmental crisis could deal a critical blow to the already crippled industry.
The reality of it also is that the environment is a very critical part of what it is that we offer. Our marine environment, our forests, that natural ecosystem is a critical part of our sales pitch internationally. And we have to spare no expense in preserving and ensuring that that remains in the best and most pristine condition right now. So while we continue to wait to see what the full impact of that situation is going to be, you can well imagine that as a region, we would be very, very concerned.
Questions continue to be raised as to the potential environmental impact of an oil spill of this magnitude in the Caribbean, a region known to be ecologically sensitive. Veteran journalist Earl Bousquet says one need not look too far to realize the dangers of crude oil in the ocean, recounting that merely 10 years ago, in April of 2010, the region stood in awe at the chaos which unfolded following the explosion of a deep-water oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico. He is adamant that this is a case where prevention is not only better, but significantly easier than cure.
We have two instances, one where the situation in Trinidad indicates that it is absolutely always necessary to have contingency measures ready to take care of such things immediately they happen. We look in St. Lucia at the valuable presence of the Hess Harbor, where oil is traded in and out. We have not had an oil spill, but this is a business when oil spills don't knock on the door, like COVID.
On Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, a team was deployed by the government of Trinidad and Tobago to inspect the sinking vessel. Any future interventions will depend heavily on the results of this investigation, particularly given that the ship and its surrounding waters are the sole jurisdiction of the Venezuelan government. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Thank you, Jacques. Stay with us. Our special Moi Heritage Creole feature, sports and weather are coming up after the break.